Alrighty, COVID didn't kill me. So now, up to speed, we are getting into the fabrication. Well, we are finishing the fabrication. We're making it look back to normal. So, the other day I went underneath, I took the fuel cell out, and I did a bunch of welding on the bottom side. So, the frame rails are pretty much completed. I trimmed, I'm not sure if it was shown in the videos, but there was overhang on that piece of metal. I trimmed everything how it needs to be, welded it in there. I basically stopped right where the cross member starts because it's a little difficult to get in there. I could have done it, but I would prefer to do it another time when the cross member's coming out either way. All right, not exact, but it's gonna sit something roughly like that. And then we are gonna build a plate that connects everything together. We got both sides mocked up. This side we made a little pipe wedge for the filler neck. Probably could have gone without it, but I already had cut into the bed here. It didn't need so much up here, so we kind of just formed it to the shape we needed. I'm actually really happy with this side. Now this side kind of looks silly because it's not naturally as wide as this side. They originally made this side wider for the filler neck, obviously. But the WRX has different shaped wheel wells anyway to begin with. You don't see them because they're behind the rear seat. But front of that side, front of this side, we just have to make one little strip along the bottom for each side. Just one little piece missing. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. We jacked it up now that it's all tacked together, and we took the wheels off. A couple places had to get beat back out from the inside, like right here, and had to push this piece up right here. You can see it's a little bent. We just had to make it fit. So they look pretty good though. I'm really happy with them. Once it's fully welded, grinded, and you know, bed lined, I think it's gonna look pretty good. I'm pretty excited. All right, guys, we got a lot more welding done. Pretty much got almost this whole backside done. We just got to do this lower seam right there. Same over here. We just got to do the original metal to the original metal seal. Making some progress, learning some things with the welder, finding out what kind of temp and wire speed I want. Originally I had it a little low. Some of the welds were a little fat, so they're gonna have to get grinded down. But I got the heat turned up now. It's weird, some spots are thinner than others, so it was blowing through. And but I think I got it figured out now. We grinded some of it down. It's looking pretty good. We're gonna probably use some seam sealer across all of the welds just to ensure that they're sealed inside and out. Right now, I'm going to actually take the plasma and I'm gonna go on a sharp angle inward and cut this original wheel well, and then bang this in and bang this out to make them sit flush, because there's a pretty good line in there. And I'm also going to attempt to take the plasma and cut this strip out right here, because the spring basically is like riding directly on that almost. So we want to try to eliminate that issue as well. As you can see, this undercoat is just peeling off from the heat, but it's actually a good thing because then the metal will be clean and we can get a good seal on it when the time comes. I'm also going to take the plasma, trim this right here, trim any of the lips that we have hanging over, because that's where, like, if there's a shelf, for example, like how this is, the dirt and all that will just sit in that shelf, and over time it will just rot it away. And what would happen is, since this metal is so thick, it would actually rot away the original WRX metal, which is extremely thin, and then it would just form a hole basically right where the weld is. So we want to prevent that at all costs possible. So I'm gonna get the plasma now and do that, trim all that up and trim that up, and then we'll get back to welding. We got that all fitted in and welded. It looks like a little bit off center just because of the welds being a little fat, but everything is 99% welded. Well, probably 97% welded. The top seam right there needs to be welded. Can't decide if I'm going to drill the spot welds out of that layer of metal and then weld to the layer behind it, or if I'm going to cut this brace out and then bang that layer of metal over and weld that, and then weld that crack there. You'll understand later. But all of the other welding is done. It's all done, like 99%, like I said, besides this top seam is tacked. We have to decide what we're doing there. There's a couple pinholes here and there, just real small ones. Right now I'm going to take the grinder, take the flap disc, and sand these welds some more.
Yay! Now it looks more like a truck.
That was interesting. Well, that was cool. Good thing the car didn't flip over. It looked like it almost did for a second. Or it wanted to. Alright, we gotta get this monstrosity out of here. We gotta freaking weld all this together. Clean this up, paint it. Clean everything and paint it. Paint, clean everything. I think you guys get the idea. Got both these tacked up. This one I did a little bit on the bottom side welding. It worked pretty well. I was able to bend it up in there. Should be able to fill that gap with low enough temp on the welder. And then this side, I guess I mismeasured, or my initial placement for the tack was off, but when I banged the backside up in there, kind of took away some material from here. So probably just gonna build a little piece to fit in there, grind these two welds down, and just fit a little piece in there. But other than that, looking really good. Happy with how it looks. Banged my head about 4 times on this thing so far. Really annoying. And I set that rag that had the degreaser on it on fire. I was doing a vertical pass back here somewhere. I think it was this one. And it's getting really hot in my lap. I can like feel my pants getting really, really warm. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like, I know I'm running a bead here instead of tacking, but this is really hot. I wonder why. And sure enough, I look over and there's a giant fireball right next to me here. So luckily it was only that rag, but I was kind of scared it was going to be the fuel lines or something else was going to be on fire, or I wasn't going to be able to put it out. But luckily kicked the rag outside and she burned away, so that's a good thing. Alright, we were going to attempt to make those 2 tabs connect to reuse that tab, but doesn't look like that's gonna work. So I'll just cut another piece of metal out, drill a hole in it, and weld it over here. It'll be kind of like an L-shaped tab, so that should work out nicely. We got a lot of work done. We got all the wheel wells and underside primed and seam sealed. Certain spots we ran out of primer to hit it twice, but we got the seam sealer all the way around, primer, base coat, and a second coat over the seam sealer in most spots. So everything's looking really good. We're gonna get down here, maybe smooth out some of this seam sealer in certain spots. I don't really care because it's gonna get Raptor lined. But next we have to address these rust spots in the bed floor, if we're gonna do it now or just wait until later. But it's either do it now or have to deal with Raptor liner again in the future. So I'm thinking we're just gonna fix it. So we gotta fix that, and then we gotta clean up all the existing paint and metal that we haven't touched yet, and then scuff up all the new stuff, scuff up everything one last time, clean it one last time, and then we're gonna spray the epoxy primer over everything, all down here, to give it 2 to 3 good coats, probably 2 nice thick coats, and then 1 like seal coat, thin it out with a seal coat, and then hit it with the Raptor liner, probably a good 2 coats of that at least, down here and above. And that kind of brings us, I think what we'll do, we'll probably do this whole bed area from, you know, the bumper to the cab floor, and we'll probably leave all this forward as is because we still have welding to do there. We have welding to do at the trans tunnel, and some of those spots are a little iffy. I'd rather be on the lift for those, so might hold off on that. We just put a first coat of fiberglass body filler on the rear wheel wells. Just want to smooth out a few areas where the panels weren't lined up and they were beaten with the hammer and so on and so forth. Just want to smooth it out. It's drying right now. It's almost done. We're going to start sanding. probably do, I got a piece of glove in there. But we'll probably do just this one base coat of the fiberglass reinforced, and then we'll sand this down. Do one coat of the thinner stuff, just the Ever coat. It's a lot lighter and easier to work with. Do one more, and then if necessary do a third one, and that's probably it. I'm not getting too crazy. I just want a few areas to be decent, and the Raptor liner can fill in the rest. Also, we have been cleaning up all the suspension and drivetrain components that we took out. As you can see, I wire wheeled the diff pretty well. Still got to get it a little better, but we're getting there. Been sanding all the rust areas on this. As you can see, like, it's a little pitted there, but it was pretty bad. Like, the surface rust was pretty flaky. We got that cleaned up, and then we also have been cleaning up this rear diff T-brace mount. I filled in these gaps, cut some metal out, filled it in, welded it, and then I welded the bars all the way around on both ends. So we got that pretty much good to go. We just got to finish cleaning this up, paint this. So we're working there. I got to order up some gloss black paint because I want all the suspension and drivetrain stuff to be gloss black under there, or at least maybe satin. I'm not sure, but got to order up some paint, finish cleaning all these, and yeah, we're getting there. We also still have to pull apart the knuckles, take the brakes off the drum, the rotors off, take the trailing arms off. We're gonna wire wheel the knuckles. I'm gonna check the bearings, see how they feel. If they're not like blown, we're gonna leave them probably, because I have so many knuckles sitting around that I can just have a knuckle ready to go to swap in if it's necessary, if the time arises. So not really stressing that. I'll just clean these ones up, give them a coat of paint, and that'll be it. I have to find, I know I have at least one of these that I cut off of here, but I don't know where it is, and I think I have to make another one. So that's gonna be interesting. Might want to start working on that, honestly. Next, yeah, I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on this bed floor, honestly. Those are the two next big things for me. And obviously once this dries, sand this down. It's getting there. It's pretty hard, but I'll give it another 15-20 minutes just to make the sanding easier. I don't like when it clogs up the sandpaper. Haven't really been filming much. I have been taking some clips, but just haven't been editing or posting or any of that good stuff. So we got the towers done, 80-90%. Maybe one more skim coat of fiberglass, but one more skim coat of filler before the Raptor liner, and then another coat of primer. Well, filler, primer, Raptor liner. We painted all of the cross members and all the loose parts that go underneath of the car. We did it with the epoxy primer first, I think 2 coats of that, and then 2 coats of the gloss black, Jet Black by Speedo Coat. It's like Amazon brand. Unfortunately, we had to do it right by the door here, and every time I would spray, about a minute after I was done spraying, a gust of wind would come and blow dirt all over. So we got a little dirt specks in there, but it looks pretty good. Looks good on the camera. Should look good from 5 feet away. I'll probably be the only one crawling underneath of this car for the time being, in the very near future. So we also did a coat or 2 of the epoxy primer down here, and then I went and I did seam sealer on any of the spots that I had missed previously. As you remember, you might not, there were rust holes here with little patch welds in it with rust going around the welds. We plated that and rebuilt up the ridges in the bed. Got that seam sealed. You can see where the 3 patches are. Got that seam sealed. We're gonna have to hit it at least once more with another coat of epoxy just to seal all the seam sealer. And then we'll be ready to wrap your line down here. I'm debating on what to do. This has to get fixed. All these wheel wells have to get patched before we can wrap your line the inside. So I'm debating what to do there. If I want to mess with the exterior of the quarter panels or not. Probably won't mess with them, but we got some thinking to do.